Alright, so this is where we left off last session. In this session, we're gonna see how we can make our web page live and how to host our application with DigitalOcean. So first thing that we need to do is basically to update our database. We're gonna use PostgreSQL. So we need to change something in our settings and then push it into master repository in GitHub. So the changes that we want to do here are pretty simple. So we want to change our engine to use PostgreSQL, and we need a name for our database. So this is an arbitrary name, a name for our user, and then a password. Okay. So this is a password that we're using. None of these has been created yet, so these are things that we will create in the DigitalOcean droplet, and that's why we are going to give them some name, and then later on we will use them. Okay, so once these are created, we need to make sure that we are committing it. So commit file. So once it got to blue, then we know that there are some new changes that need to be committed. So we need to go to Git and then commit, and then commit. Okay. So once committed, now we need to update the repository. So this is the last comment that we use to update the repository. Okay. So repository also has been updated. Now we can go ahead and create our droplet. Now I will go ahead to Ubuntu to use Linux. It is not a requirement to use Linux. You can use the console, the Linux console that also DigitalOcean is providing. Okay, so here is digitalocean.com. Once you sign up here, you can go ahead and create some droplet. I already have a droplet here. Now I can go ahead and create a new one. So the distribution that I'm going to use is Ubuntu. It is kind of fresh console with no application installed already. If you want, you can go ahead and select some of the one-click apps that comes with the Linux, as well as some application installed on it. So in our case, we could select as Django, but we need to upgrade the Django. So I prefer to stick with the fresh Ubuntu Linux in order to make sure there is not going to be any conflict of the packages. And I'm going to install all packages that I need. Here I'm selecting this $5 per month. And here we can select our data centers. The way they need to make sure we are selecting data centers that are closer to our end users. And then here we need a name for our droplet. So I usually select the same name that I have in my data repository. There is no requirement for that, but just to keep things organized and simple, because we're gonna create a lot of names and users and stuff. So I'm better to stick with some few names. So here src. Now I hit create. Okay. Now this is creating. Once created, I'm gonna need I will be sent a password that I can use in order to connect to this shell. Something here is that, as I said, there is no requirement to work in Ubuntu, because for instance here that I have already one, I can access console directly. So even in Windows this will work. So this is a Linux console. That's one option. Now that it's created, I should have received an email right away. Okay, usually right away. Okay, that I have a droplet that I created, an IP address and username which is root and is same for everyone, and then a password. Okay, so I can go ahead and connect to the shell. So Control Delete to open a new shell. Okay, so SSH and then root @ and then this one. And then Ctrl+Shift+V to paste it. And accepting. And then now I am in root. Okay. So when I'm first time logging, I need to change my password. So this is again my current password that I'm pasting. And here is, so let me paste it again, Ctrl+Shift+V. And now it needs my current password. First time login again, we need to change the password. So it needs my current password. And enter new password. I'll use root 1 2 3 4. So again, root 1 2 3 4 5. Okay, now I am at root. So before going any further, most of the instruction over here in this video is based off two nice articles. One is coming from the DigitalOcean webpage itself, and that is how to set up Django with PostgreSQL, Nginx, and Unicore. Okay, the other one is coming from this nice article from Simple is Better Than Complex blog. And this is the title of that: How to Deploy Django Application to DigitalOcean. The other thing is that when you are creating this, so you can use some links to get some credit and some discount. So I will share that link with you, and in such a case that if you're using my link, you will get credit for 2 months free, and I will get credit as well. The thing is that, like, having said that, I myself used a legitimate link and I didn't get any credit. So there is probably something gonna happen which is not right. In such a case, if you don't get any credit, you're not just alone. So it happened for me already. Anyways, let's get back to the business. So here we are at root. So let's bring up this instruction. First is to update our shell and all the packages available. I'm using Python 3, so let's control paste that. Again, control paste, it's Ctrl+Shift+V. Alright, and then this one, Ctrl+Shift+V. And if you agree, yes. So this will take a minute or so. Okay, once installed, we can now switch to the Postgres shell, and we're going to create some tables. So as you can see, there is a Postgres. So I'm going to create some tables and some users. The tables and the users that we are using, just make sure are these, right? So which we already have used in our Django project. Okay, so here would be create database, and then db0. Make sure to put semicolon at the end, and then create user and db user with password root 1 2 3 4 5 again. And then forgot the semicolon. Okay, and let's change all of these here for my user. So the previous line looks like has some error. Okay, create user db user with password. Oh yeah, so this is not like Python, so I need to get rid of those here and there. Okay, role created. Okay. And bring it a little high. All right. So now this second one, I'm going to copy that. Control C. Control C. Control Shift V. And DB user should be here. Second one. DB user. And then last one. So we are changing the settings for this user that we just created. Okay. And then last thing is to grant a user with the database we created. So here would be database db0, and then here would be user db user. Okay. Okay. Now we have a db0. The owner for all of them are Postgres, which is this user. And now we have another user, which is db user, and have access to manipulate this first one. The thing is that if you're going to have some authentication in your project, you need to have some password for this owner, right? So let's change the password there. Postgres password Postgres. So again, this is very important. If you're using any sort of authentication in your Django project, which we are not using right now, but it's safer to do that. You need to change this. You need to give a password for this user, right? Otherwise, it gives you some error, and it'll take it on to track down what's the issue. So I'll use the same root 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. Again, root 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. Okay. Now we can quit this Postgres shell as we created everything we needed. Now we can go ahead and install the virtual environment requirements. So Control-Shift-V here. And Control-Shift-V here. Okay, now we can switch to the other instruction. As I said, I'm combining these two, and then sometimes we need to add something which is not in either. So we almost did all of those, did the upgrade and update for the shell itself. We installed the PostgreSQL with this. So Nginx also has been installed just to make sure, yeah. Now we need to install supervisor, which will take care of our server, and will restore the server, will run the server, and those tasks. Okay, so installing the supervisor, now enabling it, and starting it. All right, there is a good test. Now that we have our IP address and we have Nginx installed, I'll go ahead and hit this, and you'll see that basically it says welcome to Nginx, and which means that Nginx already is taking care of this IP. Now we need to tell later that rather than bring up this default web page, basically bring up our code, right? So that's the purpose of this. Okay, go back to this. Now we need to, so we already installed this virtual environment, so we are not required to do that any longer. And this is what we did here, right? And then here we need to, already did this step as well, so we created a table and stuff. Now we're gonna use some user. So add user, so we can stick with that urban, or we can create a new one. So I'll use the same thing, add user urban, or let's say t user. Okay, it requires a user and password, so I'll use root 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, root 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, and I'll go with default by hitting enter, and then yes here. Okay. So I'll check my password, sudo, and then nano a file, just anything. Okay, so it works. Okay, now let me switch to the user. Yes, here, and then the user. Okay, now I'm the user, so I moved from the root to the user, right? So I'm going to create a virtual environment. Let's see what we've got here before that. So nothing, and then I'm installing a virtual environment, and ls. So now I have these three folders inside my home. So let's see what is my working directory. and pwd. So this is my working directory right now. So let's activate my virtual environment. There we go. Now the thing is to install the requirements. So pip install Django is first. And is it pip or pip3? So according to this manual, it says that regardless of which version of Python you're using, when virtual environment is activated, you should use pip. So the reason why is this virtual environment comes from the settings that tells here which Python version we are in. So if I go to Python, now you see that this is Python 3.6.7, right? So then pips actually would be for that Python version as well. All right, so back to here. Now pip install Django REST framework. Okay, and then pip install pillow, and then pip install. So then we need this PostgreSQL module. Okay. Right, so we're good now. Now let's pull our repository. So here is again the folders. I'm gonna clone my repository here. So rather than that, we're gonna use sign click and then src.git. Okay, now so now we have this src folder, and because this repository was public, we didn't prompt to enter any user and password, and everything was automatic. But if it was a private repository, we needed a user and password. Okay, so now I think we're almost good to go ahead and run it on local. So first thing that we want to do is just to make sure the project structure is right. Okay, so here's project structure. So I have to run this collect a static to bring all my static files here. So 155 static file copied to here, right? So if I do ls again, you see that this static now is available, which wasn't before. So if I ls static, and then here I have an admin stuff and I have REST framework stuff, right? So again, ls admin, for instance, and then admin. So this is all images, fonts, CSS, and JavaScript file, which are here available on my Django project. And what is this coming from? Why it is in this folder? All of that is because of this project that we had already. So here, so if you remember, we defined this static and the location that we wanted to be. Okay, now we are able to do the migration Python. So yeah, Python, and then manage .py and make migration. Okay, and then migrate. Okay, and then run server. Run server, and then make sure it is 0, 0, 0, 0, and then 8,000. Any other number than this won't work. Okay, so now let's use that IP address that we had. And here we already used it, so let's use 8,000 here. Okay, so see what's here. So it says you may need to add this into the allowed hosts. So what we can do, we can just go ahead and what we could do basically, we could fix it over here and then push it to repository and pull it back, which we already did for database. Or let's have another exercise, and that would be just going to the settings over here and edit it here. So I have Nano, which is an editor, and then my project, PRG, and then settings, right? And then here I can go ahead and use that into my hosts. So that would be 68, 183, 118, 189, 68, 183, 118, 189. Okay, Control O to save it, and Control X to leave. Okay, now let's run. And there we go. So now let's go to my model. All right, so here is our app. So T1 post, T2 post, and here is our list. Okay, now let's add one with the image, T3, and then browse an image and post. Okay. Now we have our image here too. Okay, and then if I go ahead here, Control C, my images should go here on upload images. So, and that would be basically on these folder hierarchy. So that would be ls, upload images, and then images, and then 2019, and then ls, images, and then images, and then 2019, and there we go. So I've got two images, one here, one is came from my project and before, like from the GitHub repository. Okay, so we're good. Just one thing I want to show you, because it took me a few hours to figure out what's the problem, and that is I am gonna edit my settings, and then here I am just gonna make it debug false, because that is what we need for production environment. Currently we are still in with this messages and with this debug equals true, we are still in development environment. That's why I could debug the issue. So when I didn't have this, it spit out basically the error for me over here. But in production environment, I need this to be false. So if there is any error, I don't see what is the error, and it just says server error or something like that. So let's do this false, and now Control O and Control X, and then so let's run the server again. And there you go. So you lose all the statics. This is because we are in production. And then if I click on this, I don't see image. And again, this is because of that debug equals false or yeah. So what we need to do is now to use JUnit and Nginx basically to help us serve this static and dynamic media files. And another reason that we want to use them is basically they're going to make our server much more efficient, and we'll be able to respond much faster with more requests at a time. Okay, so let's get to it.